Good morning, class. So today's video is part 2 for week 6. And today I will be showing you all how to make a puffer jacket. And we are going to use the basic Uneka body as the form so that you can see what happens when you make a garment, an outer jacket, something outer for a curvier form. So we're going to start with the basic box. I'm going to go a little bit higher up and a little further down because you have to account, especially if you're making it a longer jacket, you have to account for the hips and you also have to account for the breasts for the women. So when this is fitted, then we are going to see what the difference is. So right now it looks like it's going to fit around the hips, but because the breasts are larger, then it's not. It should probably stop about here, probably mid hip or mid stomach. So you start with our basics, our usual, all the same stuff that you've been learning. Now, we start here. So the next thing that I'm going to do is I am going to copy and I'm going to mirror paste, and I'm going to pull it out this way a little bit because we're going to need some space because you're going to learn something new in addition to what I'm teaching you now. So you've got these two. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to physically make a separate box. Now you can do it this way and just make this for the back. However, I'm just going to copy, paste. That way you have the same size and you're not doing any guesswork. And just like this, you're doing the same thing. And because I'm using curvier form, then I have to pull the back up higher here, and I have to pull the front up higher. So I'm going to rotate that, make sure that's good, and that's good. Now we're going to make the arms. And we do the same way we've always done it. I think I'm going to make these mid-length. So these are going to be about that length. Then we're going to copy, mirror paste, copy, paste. All the same concept that you've been doing. This part is the same. Now, you can also just draw the arms attached to the jacket if you want. If you want it to be all one piece. But I want you guys to do it this way because it'll look better if you do it this way. The attaching the arms as one piece is the lazy way. If you're pressed for time, and like you get a client or something like that, you're pressed for time, I understand if you have to do it the lazy way, but this way you have a little more control over the garment. Now, there's not to say that you can attach the arms and then just detach them, cut them and sew them so that it looks like they're detached. So you can do it that way. There's so many different ways that you can create garments in this program. And I'm sure you all are beginning to realize that. But this is how we start. So now that we have all that done, now I am going to add a curve. Let's make this easier. By doing that, and then go back. A little bit of a curve there. So now I'm going to sew. Now this demonstration is going to be a bit longer than usual because I'm actually creating a garment instead of showing you some tools. So I want you to do something similar. It doesn't have to be the same as long as it's some sort of jacket and you add some type of puff to it. Then you'll understand the process here. But the basic concept is the same. Twisted, we gotta redo that. Let's do the sides. And then the only other thing we're gonna do is the back. And of course the top here. And let's see how this comes out. All right. Tug a little bit here and there. So we're going to go to the next step. And you see that it fits fairly nice. Just adjust a little bit here and there. So because I'm using a curvier form, then I may have to fix this part here, because as you can see, it's just an open jacket and it's not covering up anything, and we want it to cover up. So one of the first things I need to do is add a panel here. Because we want it to be comfortable. We don't want it to be pulling back here. It should stop here, right on the shoulders. So we're going to add some panels. And that is a simple fix. And that's what I'm going to do. If you don't feel like you need a panel, you don't have to add a panel. Because this is where I want it to sit, about here. And we want to leave that back there. So I'm going to add a tiny little panel here. Back. Just to give the arms a little more room. So we can add it up here on the shoulder, or what you can do that. What you can do next is, so you don't have to add a panel. You can just add some length to it and then simulate it. And that can fix it. Give it a little more room. But as you can see, it just makes it kind of loose here. So since we're experimenting here, I'm going to pull this here. And see, when you pull it, see how it's not going? It's because this is too short. So to fix that, you can do two things. You can expand it more. So you can just make it wider, and then it will work. Or, and this is a better solution, because if you do it this way, then this will get it ready for a zipper. You just attach a little bit of fabric to the front part here. And if you look at your jackets that have the zippers or the buttons or the snaps on them, you're going to see the same thing. How they have a little piece where the zipper is attached. So this is what we use and this is what we do. So now you just sew it. Very simple. And you attach it. It also helps cover it up a little bit. And make sure you sew the back here. That helps also with the fit that you had before. So now, see, it looks much better now. It fits a little better. Now, this is a nice, somewhat jacket. You have like a little sweater, well, beginnings of a sweater. So the next thing that you're going to do is we're going to tighten it a little bit. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to shorten it because I want it to hit a little bit higher on the hip. So I'm going to shorten it just a little bit. And with jackets, you're going to constantly be pulling and tugging to adjust to make sure that they're fitting nicely. And you might notice that I didn't do the symmetric sewing. There's a reason for that. Now with this, you see how on the front they're the same size, but you see how in the back it's just sitting. That's because there's no breast, of course, in the back. So it's going to be a little longer. So what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to make the back a little bit shorter than the front. So that it's just not sitting. And when you simulate it, it's going to even out. Now, of course, if you want it to sit there, it can. And fellas, if you're working with male clothing, are you working on a male jacket, then of course you don't have to worry about doing this because it should all be even anyway. But for the ladies, then you're going to have to adjust. So we're going to do a closed jacket. So now that we have that done, then we're going to adjust the front. And so to do that, I am going to close this and it's going to stop about here, just under the breasts. And so we're going to learn, I'm going to attach something a little different here. So I'm going to just close it up about here. So we're just going to sew it here and here. And see, that's about right at the breasts. I'm going to move this down just a little bit. And after you sew, you can move it. And it should okay, that's where I want it. So we're going to sew. And now we have it attached there. Down a little bit. So I'm happy with that. But the back is still a bit loose. So we're going to fix that. And what we're going to do is I'm going to attach some bottom trim. And the way that I'm going to do that is with pleats. And we're going to do that to the bottom, and we're going to do that to the arms. So, create just, something that's a little bit thicker. We're going to put it here. Let's see here. So, we're going to do 2 pieces. We're going to do a front piece, and we're going to do a back piece. With pleating, you kind of want it a little bit longer than it has to be. So that's good. And now I'm going to go through and we're going to add the dots. Actually, it's better if I do this in half. This time we're going to cut it. I'm not going to sew it. Then we go through and we're going to add two little dots. and that will cover these two. And then you're going to add one here and one here. And actually, you don't need an extra dot, so we're going to delete that one. We're going to delete this one. So you only need the two, because this and this will sew, and this and this will sew. So, now that that is done, we're going to do something different. Well, we're going to do the same thing for the back. So let's move this so that you can see that it is not together. Copy, mirror paste. Go back to the back. Goes on the flip. And this is just the way that I'm doing it. If you found a different way to do the basics here, then you can do it that way. Now for the sleeves, we're going to do something a little bit different. But let's start with the bottom trim here. So, remember, when you're doing the pleating, you want to freeze all of this so it doesn't move. So, then we're going to go, and we're going to do it this way. This you can do symmetric sewing. Make it easier on yourself. So, you have it straight, and then we're going to do the pleating. You can do as many of these as you want, however you want it to look. Now, I said we were going to do pleating, but this is going to be elastic instead. This is where the elastic comes in. So, now that we have that done, we're going to unfreeze. Now you can do pleating down here. That might be cute. But we're gonna do elastic unfreeze. And now this is how you do elastic. You're gonna use the same concept as you would if you were doing pleating. So you're gonna do the free sewing. And remember, we're going to go back a step and do that again. So you start here, and you go here, click, and where you started on the first part is where you start on the second part, and you go here, click. Give it a chance to sew. Then you're going to zoom in here to here, here to here. Now we're not doing we're not doing pleating with this. But this is another way I'm showing you can sew. If you have these, this is another way to sew. Let me check my work here. So I'm going to pull it out. You can see it's sewn. And you're going to do the same for the back. The only difference is we don't need this dot here. So we're going to delete it in the back. Now, because I did the symmetric sewing, it's gone in the front. So, I have to undo my work. And I have to start over. Now, we have the symmetric sewing. What I'm going to do this time, because I don't want to delete everything, I can delete these in the front. Turn off symmetric sewing. It's turned off. So now we can delete, and now I can turn it back on. This is why you should be mindful see, it's not, I guess I can't turn it on because there's dots on this one, not on that one. So, sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do these one at a time. You can just, if you remember how many you put in, you just type it in. Okay. And you do the same thing on the side. Some parts of when you're making a jacket, you can do the symmetric sewing. However, sometimes it's not a good thing. So now that that is done, we're going to go back and do the free sewing. And this is just, sometimes it can be easier, sometimes not. Done the front, and now we're going to do the back. And then you can go back to free sewing on that side, and then you go to the 3D side, do just like before. Now, that seems like it's a little much. So, I'm going to unfreeze. I'm going to unfreeze this too. So, now that you have that taken care of, so that together, and now you have what kind of looks like ruffles, but we're going to fix that. Still not letting me do it. So now we're going to add some elastic. And here's the thing with the elastic. I'm going to go here and highlight. Now that took a little bit longer because I have the sewing machine on, so to speak. All you're highlighting is those. So you're going to hold down shift and you're going to do the same thing here. Hold down shift. Same thing. Let's see, when you got to be careful about what you're highlighting, because it's going to highlight all of this. So we're going to add elastic here. First, we're going to move this down so that we don't affect the rest of the jacket. So now we're going to go back and I'm going to highlight just the lines that we need here. Now I'm going to hold shift and you're going to do the same thing for the rest of them. This is so you're only given elastic to certain parts of this. This does seem like a lot of work. It can be. So now, because I have a little dot there, then I have to hold down shift and click on each one of these. and you're just clicking on the red. You don't want to click on this or this because that's not a part of what you're doing. So now that we have all that done, now you might notice that I don't have the property editor here. So, and that's it. So I know some of you, your library is missing as well. So because mine is missing, I'm going to go to display, window, and I'm going to go to property editor. And then I'm just going to left click and hold, drag, and put it back. So one of the best parts about this program is you won't have to forgive me because as soon as my program wants to act funny, move a little bit slower than usual. So we're going to hold down shift and click. And by now, you should be used to your camera. You probably may not even notice you're doing this stuff now. Should be very natural when clicking and holding down the basic tools for this. Now, I have all of these highlighted here. So what we're going to do now is turn on sewing, and we're going to go down here to the property editor, and we're going to go down here to elastic, and we're going to click on the elastic, and immediately you'll see that it moves it up a little bit. And now what we're going to do is play with the strength and the ratio. So a little more strength, a little less ratio. So me doing it that way gave it more of a soft, kind of feminine look. However, we want this to be more of elastic at the bottom of a jacket. So turn that off, and then what we're going to do here is, because, and it's like this because these are too long. So move that way. Now you see what happened when I did that. So I'm going to undo. I'm going to do one at a time. One time. And you're just going to adjust these See, it makes them a little smaller. But you're going to keep adjusting until you get it smaller. It needs to be shorter than the jacket itself. And you'll see why I'm doing that. And see, the smaller you make it, the better it looks. Now also, what I can do to make this look even better is adjust. We're going to adjust the back again. If the back is too low, too long, we make that much smaller. And we do the same thing for the front. You kind of want it to be the same. You see, after adjusting, you gotta play with it a little bit here and there. Still a little bit too long. Front is too long. And you just keep going. Keep adjusting. Eventually, you'll start to see it start forming into a jacket. Now, got a high-low going on here, so still a little too long. Well, there's easier ways to do this. It just depends on you. That back is a little long. And what we're looking for is this. You see how it's now starting to look tighter? This is what we're looking for. So now that it's like this is about right. Now that we have it like this, the next step is we're going to fix the nipples that are showing. So the way that we do that is it's particle distance. So I'm going to highlight the whole thing, and we're going to go back to the property editor, and we're going to go down to the particle distance here. And to show you again, I'm continuing this from part 1. When looking at the mesh, right now it's on 20, and this is what it looks like on 20. Now, remember I said you need to fix that. So I'm going to start with 10, and then we'll go from there. Now, that should help. That helps. However, Sometimes you might need to fix it a little bit. Now that we've gotten this tight and it looks pretty good here. This is kind of tiny, so I want to make that longer. And in order to do that, I'm going to stretch this. And that's going to make it look much better. And now you've got this high-low. Well, let me make the front a little longer because I feel like that's a little short. Just a little bit longer. That's much better. Now, we're going to do the same to the arms. The difference is I am going to do a little bit of a different technique. Now for the bottom I had to add it, but for the top or for the arms, you don't necessarily have to add. So first we're going to do this. Cut and sew. So that adds the trim. Now this attached, I'm going to undo because I don't want to cut and sew. I want to cut it. And then what I'm going to do is go back here and we're going to add the same number here, 15. Now that we've done that, we're going to add elastic. So I do need to cut it, so undo, cut and sew. Now I can go and fix that. And we're going to do the 15. Then we're going to add the elastic. So we're going to go down here. And we're going to do it. It's going to be a little different for the arms. You can leave it at 10. And you can kind of shrink it here. Because this is loose, it's not going to have the same effect. So, when doing it this way, you got to do, I'm going to make it smaller, but not too much smaller. I'm trying to make it much, much smaller. Because we want because it's extra work that I don't want to do. Start off by making this smaller. Now, if you want, of course, you're going to want it symmetrical. But this is just an example I'm showing you how to make. So you see, the smaller that the sleeves get, the better it's going to look. So you're just going to continue to play with this, both sides. Just like with the bottom of the trim. Okay. Make this a little smaller, just a little bit. I don't want it too tight, because you're going to add volume as well. That's good. Now, we're going to give this a little length. So it'll look a little bit better. See how that added some elastic to the bottom. You have elastic to the bottom of this. And now it looks much, much better. Looks more like a sweater. But we're not done yet. So we've got a sweater now. At this point, this is starting to look like a sweater. So the next thing that we're going to do is, you've added your elastic. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to add your thickness. And remember, you go up here and you go down to the first one and you click, and it's going to switch it. So now your garment is going to be on the thicker side. Now, at this point, what I'm going to want you to do is we're going to click on the sweater itself, just the sweater. So you're just going to click on these parts, and then you're going to right click, and you're going to assign to a new fabric. Okay, so now on this is the jacket. So in order to rename it, you're going to double click, and it's going to pull that up, and you're just going to put in jacket. And so the rest of it is your trim. So you're going to double click, highlight it, and then double click again, and you're going to just type in trim. This is getting your garment ready for fabric. But this is also to ensure that the next step won't be so difficult. So now we've got the trim done. So the next step is we're going to add the boxes for the jacket to make this a puffer. So what you're going to do, of course, you're going to go actually So I'm going to start here. I'm going to do that for the jacket part first. I'm going to do that for the arms as well, because you want it all to be the same. So you have your lines here. You want them to be straight. And you're going to add, let's do 3 for going this way. You're going to hit OK. So you have the 3 there. Next, we're going to go this way. So you're going to do this. You're going to go back and do the same thing. Click on the same thing. But this time, we're going to do perpendicular. And we're going to do 3 again. Let's see. Do we want to do? Yes, we'll do 3. And you're going to do that. So now you have all of this. So now what you're going to do is you're going to highlight all of the lines just on the inside. And with the arms, because you did segment sewing, it should do this. Okay. Now, hit the sewing, and we're going to add elastic. And this is what happens when you add elastic. So, add a little more elastic, a little less elastic, a little more elastic. It's going to pull a little more. It just depends on how you want it to look. We do want a little bit of elastic because, see, it's pulling. So you're starting to get that look. So now, go back up here to jacket. And we're going to go over here. I'm going to switch it. And we're going to click on the jacket now, and the arms, because now I'm going to make it look, well, as we're going to thicken it up a little bit. And this is when we're starting to add this. So remember, we went over here to the simulation properties, and we messed with the particle distance. Now, if you're putting this over a t-shirt or something like this, then we'll get to the layering part. Now we're going to go down here to add thickness to it. So I'm going to start with 5 on both the bottom and the top. Give it a chance to work. So you're going to have to pull 2. That's the only problem with elastic. The more elastic you add, you may run into this. So make sure you have it where you want it. But you can also turn off elastic and move it and then turn it back on. It's not going to change your elastic. And once you have it to where you want it, that's where it's going to stay. Now I didn't add elastic here because I'm gonna open this back up. Well, down the line we're gonna open this up and add a zipper. But for right now, all I want you to worry about is, adding the elastic and doing the quilting pattern. It doesn't have to be this short. So we have added some thickness. So let's add some more. And the more that you add, the better it's going to look. But remember, when you're adding thickness, make sure you're clicking on the squares. Don't click on the lines. Even if you do, you mess up, just go back a step. So, and you'll see how it's gotten thicker. So we're going to go to 9 and see what happens. And the more you add, see how much thicker it's getting. So let's see. Let's go to 10. Now we're going to go down here to pressure. And the more pressure you add, the better it's going to look. And see, this is how you make jackets, puffer jackets. You can adjust, make sure it looks good, all that good stuff. So the pressure makes it look a little better. So we can go back up here too. And we can add, so we can add some thickness here because this looks a little strange. So we're going to add 10 and 10. Simulate. And see, now that looks better. And you can do the same thing for the rest of it. Go here. And add your thickness. It just depends on what you want to do. So add some thickness here. 10 and 10. You see how it added thickness, and we're going to add some pressure, simulate, and there you have it. You've got a jacket. And this is what I want you all to do. Your homework is to make a jacket. And because this video is going to come out a little late, this is your project for next week. I want you to take your time and make a nice jacket. It does not have to look like this. Design it any way you want, but I want you to use the elements that I used in this video. And this is all within the property editor. Now, I also want you to play with the layering tool. Remember, when you're doing a layer, when you're adding a layer, or if you want to add the jacket on top of a t-shirt, you're going to highlight the t-shirt first. You're going to freeze that. Make your jacket. And then what you'll do is you're going to change the layer here. But you got to make sure you highlight the entire thing. And what I would advise is take it to layer 3. But don't go any higher than layer 3. Because you don't want your clothing clashing. So like if your shirt is on layer 1, you want it at least 2 layers higher, because you want it sitting on top of your garment. You don't want them clashing, because that's going to pose rigging issues later on. But if you have decided to put like your top on maybe layer 2, then go higher than that. But you want all your outer garments to be at least 2 layers higher than the original garment, because it's going to look better and it's going to cause you less issues down the line. So, review. I want you to work on a jacket. Make a jacket. It can be this short, it can be longer. You can make a trench coat. I don't care. Just utilize this property editor and everything else you have learned, because next week we're going to start adding zippers, buttons, and things like that, so that your garments start looking finished. So once again, jacket, utilize your layer, utilize your property editor, make sure you put them on different layers. I've already showed you how to do that. Have fun, breathe. If you get stuck, go back a step. If you get frustrated, save your garment and then go back to it, because I want you working on this all next week, including when you learn how to add the trim, because at the end of the week I'm going to see a finished product. Everybody enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions, and I will see you next week.